Welcome, guys, to the watch list for the week of January 11th. So, on the weekly charts, when you look at last week's action, that looks pretty good, right? On the daily charts, did not feel like that for most of the people, I assume. So, on the weekly charts, on the larger time frames, in the last weekly watch list, we had discussed that as long as we stay above the 9-week moving average, the bulls are in control. On the larger time frames, the bears have nothing going on for them, at least right now. So let's move to the smaller time frames. In the smaller time frames, and this is where we were on Monday. All right, we had closed Friday below our immediate support, but we had bounced well into Friday. And we were talking about in the last weekly watch list that we had held the 9-weekly moving average, and yeah, the bulls are in control. So on Monday, we opened with a gap up, spent the entire time in this resistance range, but we held this support. Well, since we're already above it, we held this major level. So it was a failed breakdown, what happened on Thursday and Friday. And once that happened, we were back in the range where we have spent a lot of time in the last few months. And yeah, on Tuesday, we went higher and finally retested on Wednesday. Now, initially on Wednesday, I had mentioned that if we try and attempt a breakout and that doesn't succeed right away, we might just come back and chop into NFP, and that's exactly what happened. We had a strong breakout attempt on Wednesday in the morning session, got rejected in the afternoon session. On Thursday, we just consolidated, and then Friday after NFP, we had a massive move higher. So overall, if you want to summarize the action of last week, it's just consolidation in the familiar range and then a breakout attempt at the end of Friday. So overall, this looks very good. Now, let's talk about the context of the events of next week. The events of next week, we have CPI on Tuesday, we have PPI on Wednesday, and then we have OPEX on Friday. Now, if you guys are familiar with the action of OPEX, you guys know that if a breakout happens near OPEX, that can be a strong one. Usually we stay range bound, but if a catalyst breaks us out, especially with the kind of consolidation that we have had for the last few months, with the range getting tighter and tighter, if the breakout happens, it can be a wild one. So just putting that context out there. What I want you guys to see is when we first had that pullback in November, the range was big and loose. Every rejection since that range has been smaller and smaller, and now we are back where all the supply was. We are looking to break out, and if that breakout happens, it will be rather quick. On Friday, we closed above this resistance area of 625 to 626, so obviously that's going to be a major support going into next week. As long as we hold above that, the path of least resistance is higher, where we close this gap from November 4th, and the major level of importance higher is 634. So above 626, we likely get to 634 with some resistance around 630 area, right around here. So those are your levels on the upside. What about on the downside? On the downside, you guys already know if we go below 625, we can always come back and retest this area of 617.5 to 619. 622.5 is the bull bear line in this range. Below 622.5, the path of least resistance is lower to the support. Above it, the path of least resistance is higher. So those are your levels for QQQ. Let's discuss SPY. Also, I already discussed CPI and PPI for next week. We